Guys, welcome back to our first live we've done in quite a while.
It's the first live Q&A we've done in quite a while.
It really is.
Yep.
It's, we've been busy doing obviously a lot of other stuff, a lot of filming, lots of topics to cover. Last week we had our first outdoor
It was
session.
this week. It was Monday. It feels like it was. I'm trying to distance myself from it.
I know. Yeah, it was an experience. You know, outdoors for us is it's obviously something that we've been looking to do for a while, and we got probably one of the warmest days we've had of the year, and it just fried all our equipment.
Fried me. With a serious sunburn to deal with afterwards. It was a tough day, but it was cool. I mean, we got some good videos out of it. Learned some stuff about setting up outdoors with the cameras and all that kind of stuff. So
it doesn't matter how bad a day it goes. When you're at Magna Golf Club, it's a good day.
That place
always
is wild.
a good day. I was actually really fortunate. I wish I'd said at the time, but I meant to give out a big shout to Magna Golf Club. I congratulate them on getting the CP Canadian Women's Open.
Yep.
which
2019.
is huge for next year. Yeah. So what a great venue for the ladies to go to. You won't get a better venue than Magna Golf Club. The course is in beyond perfect condition. Yeah. The range is world class from top to bottom. The place from the pro shop staff to the in clubhouse staff are phenomenal. So big thanks to Mike and the team for having us out. That was a real treat for us. And
it was awesome.
Hopefully we'll be back.
We will be back.
We will be back. We will be back. Well, I mean, for those of you our patrons and for those of you who saw some of our social media stuff, Matt got some incredible drone footage. Actually, Sammy, I'm going to give the credit over to our lad here.
Give him a little bit of it, but not all of it.
Give it to Sammy. He took some really great drone footage of Magna Golf Club, and so if you haven't seen that already, check that out. So the purpose of doing this tonight is we haven't connected with you guys in a while in this format, so we haven't gone live and answered your questions. Most of you will be mid-season. There'll be some holes appearing in the bag, some flaws, whether it be the swing, the bag, whatever it is, the equipment, some way, somehow.
For sure.
So I'd love to help you address some of those and see if we can kind of troubleshoot a little bit. Matt and I, you may have kind of heard a little bit about us talking about TXG sessions.
Yep.
Where
we did chat about that briefly.
Yep. So we're going to bring this format in a little bit more of a one-on-one environment. We're going to take it on the road and hit kind of North America. We may venture over to Europe in sometime in the fall.
Yeah.
So this Q&A format we love because we get a chance to dive into everyone's problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
stay tuned for that.
Yeah, we're excited about it. We really are.
It's in the plans.
We had another one of our kind of YouTube subscribers over from England this week. We've had visitors from all over this year. We've had it from Hawaii, England, multiple from England. We've had visitors from Ireland, probably at least 10 states in the US so far, mostly from the States. So it's great connecting with everyone, but we want to hit the road and come and see you guys as well.
In person, yeah.
That's right. Get a chance to meet. So Bandit Baker was in town, and we kind of took a look over his bag over 2 days. Bandit's from England, and we managed to watch the England game together yesterday.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we sat and watched
the
yeah, we sat and watched the game after. Unfortunately, heartbreaker for England. So that was good fun. But we love this community that we're building here. Patreon is helping us grow that community.
It's been a cool couple of weeks getting started with that. So
again, another big thanks for the Patreon or the patrons for their support. I think everyone sees the spirit of the whole thing and what we're trying to do with it, and trying to just give us more tools to give you guys the best information that we possibly can.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So let's take this first one.
What do we have?
Because I was going to ask you the same question. Are we going to the Canadian Open this year?
Oh, good question. 2 weeks.
Is that when it is?
Yeah. Next week's the Open, and then it's the following
right
week.
after?
Yeah, we'll be there.
Okay.
We will be there.
Apparently we'll be there.
We will be there. I'm going to have to probably take a look at the schedule, how we're going to be there.
I was just going to say, yeah.
No,
we'll try to get there for something, maybe like a little practice round day or...
I would say the Tuesday's a good day to be out there. Wednesdays, kind of the guys are prepping and that sort of thing. Tuesday or Wednesday, actually. Wednesday, Canadian Open, the guys are actually just getting in town because, especially the ones who are over, who are going to be at Carnoustie,
they'll be half asleep.
They'll be half
hours.
asleep.
Yeah.
So hopefully,
All right, well, let's take a couple. We had some guys give us some on Instagram earlier, so let's do those first.
Okay.
This came up quite a bit because of the range mat versus turf video.
Okay.
Irons. If you have forged irons especially, how often should you be checking your loft and lie to see if they've kind of altered because of the vibration or the impacts of that?
The impact of it. I mean, turf as well. I mean, if you tend to play on firm turf, and especially if you're someone who's on the steeper side, if your divots are a fair size. I mean, we've all seen the slow motion pictures of how much stress that can place on the club. I mean, you certainly see some of the top players when they're through impact. The amount of torque and bend and twist they get on the shaft.
I was just watching the Scottish Open this morning, and Russell Knox hit like a little knockdown wedge. It looked like the club was going to break.
It's incredible how much the shaft deflects. Yeah. So to answer your question, at least twice a year.
It's that much?
Start of the year and middle of the year.
Wow.
Yeah, no reason not to start the year with a loft and lie session, and then middle of the year reconfirm them with just a quick check. It's a quick thing. Checking
long,
loft
right?
and lies is a 10-15 minute job, so something that we offer here at TXG as part of our recurring service to our customers.
Another reason to buy clubs here.
Absolutely.
I thought this was a great question. So what's the best low spin driver, and we just did a test on this, that isn't fade biased? So we found that the G400 LST is really fade biased.
Yep.
The Rogue Sub-Zero really fade biased. M3
adjustable, isn't it?
Adjustable, so it doesn't have to be. That's not a bad option.
Yep, for sure.
Cobra F8 was not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have independent weight to play with, if you're pushing, for a driver to become really low spin, it kind of has to have slightly further forward CG, low loft, that type of thing. I mean, it's something that we've talked a little bit about. Gear fit. I don't know what we got here. Some prop of some kind, but
you want a driver?
Even a grip would probably be a better thing. So when we're talking guys about vertical CG, so let's talk about if the CG, the lower the CG
come by, Cam,
is.
it's okay.
Okay, yeah, come in, Cam. You're not getting all dressed up like that for nothing.
Here's Cam.
I'm ducking. Hey guys.
Look at that shirt.
I'm trying to find
Give us a thumbs up for the shirt.
So vertical CG. So if that CG is in the middle of the golf club, 50% below it will tip the head forward, lose loft, and spin the ball up.
Yep.
50% the head will tip the head back and will increase launch and lower spin. If you lower that CG, you change the gear effect properties. So even if you hit it in the middle, you could still potentially get some tilt.
Okay.
And so it will increase launch and lower spin. So again, talking about neutral drivers, and that's the thing. Depends the vertical element of the CG.
Right.
Some are higher than others. Some are Ping. Is the company who have always chased an extremely low CG, high launch, low spin.
Yeah.
We get high launch, low spin because the more we hit above the CG of the golf club, the more we get tilt and gear effect.
Gotcha. So I mean, if you had to recommend, maybe M3 because you can move the weights into the heel?
Yeah, I mean, you can move the weights into the heel and encourage it to rotate a little bit more.
But definitely not G400 LST because it's the reason I liked it so much is because it is so anti-hook.
Super open. Yeah, I mean,
really
it starts 2 degrees open, and then if you set it on the big minus, the full open setting, that's another 2 degrees open, so you can get that thing set 4 degrees open.
It's that much? That's a lot. That is a lot. All right.
Is Bandit Baker on the field?
Bandit's here. He's at the airport.
Nice.
He said hi. What does he say? Oh yeah, he found Wi-Fi. Finding Wi-Fi at Pearson is an accomplishment, so he should be proud of that.
Awesome.
Have we got the new Titleist drivers and fairways yet?
No one has. Well, I mean, there's the samples out there that you'll see a few YouTubers testing.
I don't think anyone. No, I don't think any YouTubers have tested it yet. Just
not
tour
many.
players.
Yeah. Is that right?
Because Mark Crossfield was out at the range at their launch day.
Right.
With I can't remember which tour players, but no guys have tested that I've seen. So still early.
Wait and see.
Fall supposed to come out.
Yeah. September.
Okay. That's an interesting question. Is there anywhere about getting kind of general club fitting, club making information, shafts. I mean, companies' websites would be probably the best resource.
It's interesting. Tracy came to me earlier on today and asked me, it must have been a question that came into our info, and we get these all the time, really flattered to get emails and messages from club fitters who are asking us where we get our information. So we must be doing something right. So I would say, guys, on that front, there's a lot of Facebook communities.
Okay, interesting.
A lot of Facebook pages where you can find some of the smarter people out there.
Right.
I think becoming part of these communities, asking a lot of questions, not being afraid to kind of ask whatever it is that you don't know. If there's a topic on there that you don't know much about, ask. Guys, no one will mind if you go, guys, sorry to chime in here. What does that mean? You might get a few guys go, nice to meet you, welcome to the community, this is what it means.
Right.
And then you're in, then you're in there and you've got some connections. I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think the manufacturers, Acra, Fujikura, KBS, True Temper, they have online online university pages,
right,
where you can go on there and learn about their stuff. Trackman University is phenomenal, that type of thing. So I think that's some of the main places to look.
Perfect. If you have an M2D type, and you've started hooking it, what are your options? Is it an adjustable sleeve on that guy?
Has an adjustable sleeve, yep. I would say get to the source of the hook, because it may be gear effect, it may be toe strike, might be strike induced hook. So
gotcha.
Try to decipher whether it's face induced or strike induced.
Ideally get on
quad.
And quad and get your data.
Yeah, just make sure it's not too warm that day.
Someone asked if the connection issues were a big deal or an isolated incident. I would say
very isolated.
The iPad was about to explode from heat, so nothing wrong with the quad. It was just.
I mean, to be honest, it was one of those. We were kind of trying to create the perfect environment. I think we had a tent. We should have used it. We should have covered the technology. We had a little umbrella. I mean, there was things we learned as we got on through the day. We saw how to troubleshoot it.
It was just too late.
Next time we'll be on fire.
Gotcha.
Not the equipment on fire.
Not literally on fire. Yeah. Okay. Improper loft as a cause of too much spin on irons. So if someone's spinning their irons too much, is loft a good place to kind of knock them off?
For sure.
That's what you often recommend, no?
Yeah. I would say you've got about 400 RPMs that you can knock off. So club to club, you've got about 800 RPMs between clubs. Tour players will have about maybe a little closer to 1,000 because they have additional velocity to us, so they spin it more. But I think the average player will have between a 6 and a 7 iron, for example, about 600 to 800 RPMs. So if you lose 2 degrees of loft, you'll lose about half of that.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a question about my irons. So, did not end up with mirror irons because they stopped making them.
That's right. Yeah.
Nothing we could do about that. They
No.
stopped making the left-handed. What is that? Y grinds.
Y grinds. Yeah.
Stop making them.
I mean, I would say though, you probably never lost the desire to play the Strixons.
I really liked those.
Yeah,
from the beginning.
I know.
So this is a good thing. I wasn't heartbroken when you told me that the mirrors weren't available.
No.
I was kind of like, oh well, that's kind of too bad, but I was okay with it. So the Strixons are actually here.
I think that's one of those things when it comes to going for a club fitting session. You hear so many people saying, "Go be open-minded and you kind of listen to your fitter and they know best and stuff." I would always go, don't be afraid to express your preferences as well.
Have a conversation about it.
Absolutely, and see what you can work with in it, and see if it's something that's within reason. If the fitter feels strongly enough, I'm sure they'll share that with you. That's not a no-go, but we never felt that way about the Strixons.
They were close.
Yeah, and you changed your swing.
I think that's why a lot of the questions are always kind of why we've been back and forth a lot.
Yeah.
The timing was just not the best in terms of when we filmed those videos, and I decided that I just kind of really want to make a big overhaul with my golf swing, which has been going really well lately. I'm really happy with.
Definitely,
but
it's good, isn't it?
We made some tweaks, which I had the luxury of doing through you guys. Just made some tweaks to the order, which was why we kind of pushed it back a bit. But.
Yeah. Well, looking back at the shafts we selected originally, obviously those X7s were excellent.
Yeah.
But that was primarily because you had a longer swing, so you required more weight in order to time that better. And the other part is your swing speed was a little bit quicker before because you got it a little narrower in the downswing, and you created a little bit more speed. So the 120 TX Modus is where you're at now, and getting ready to unleash those babies.
The driver's been good. Had some questions about
You've
the
been
driver.
driving it well.
Driver's been really
I can
good.
vouch for that. Matt's been driving it excellent.
So the TPT 15.
Yep. LKP LT.
That's the one.
Which is the low kick point, low torque.
Yep. And the G400 LST. We went with a 10 degree.
Yeah.
We went when we opened it a degree, right?
Yeah. Because we found that Matt was turning it over a little bit, so the face angle being a little more open was suitable.
It's been awesome.
Yeah.
The Y and the bags are coming for us. People want to know more about yours because everyone knows what I'm playing, but we got to do yours at some point.
Yeah, I would. Have I made some changes recently?
You thought about some changes. I don't know if you actually made them.
No, probably not played enough golf to really warrant some changes.
Okay, here's a good question. So Taylor's probably asking Taylor if you recommend owning a driving iron hybrid and then a 5 and 7 wood and then interchanging them based on where you're playing. So I guess giving you different trajectories based on if you're playing in the wind or you're playing a soft course. Yeah. I guess if you're playing a longer course.
Not a bad idea at all.
Not a bad idea?
Not a bad idea at all, yeah. It's a bit like having different wedges for different conditions as well. Yeah. Sometimes you might need to alter your wedge setup, and the greens are very flat, so you don't really require as many sort of lofted shots. Right. So you may want to go 52, 58, or so I know tour players, for example, will at times kind of alter their setup for that stuff. I've been going this week over to Gullin.
Right in Scotland, yeah. For
the Scottish Open. I was looking at some friends of mine who are on Instagram, and they were showing us how much they were grinding off some wedges, getting really reducing the bounce. Because on that turf, if you get too much bounce in that links turf, it's been the warmest summer in Scotland for probably, somebody said to me it's been over 100 years since it's been this warm, so the courses are going to be super fiery. I know they got some rain this week, but
the fairways
are still going to be baked out, and there's no, the wedges just won't penetrate that turf. You won't be taking divots, it'll just be bouncing up off that.
So it'll bounce, and then people will hit it thin.
Yeah, just bad, inconsistent contact.
So, if the 3-wood is going further than the driver, this is a really good question, and I used to see this a lot when I used to teach. Why would that be happening? If your 3-wood goes further, I'm assuming they're getting more desirable launch conditions.
So, I would say this player predominantly, if they're hitting their 3-wood for the driver, they're too steep. They're probably too steep. So, it's the player that tees the 3-wood down a little bit and kind of hits down on it, and the shorter shaft, the 3-wood having a little bit more loft, it's easier to draw.
Right.
So that player tends to be a little bit steep and kind of hit squeeze cuts, inconsistent with the strike pattern in the face, lose a lot of ball speed out of irregular contact. So 3-wood for that player is always very, very good. I had a fit this morning actually with the gentleman. It was a super fit. So he came in swinging about 80 miles an hour, struggling. He wasn't carrying it much more than 170. Yep. We got some really good gains from the Ping G400 SF Tech, 10 degrees. Got it straightened out a little bit, but he was still, 10, 11 degrees across it and about 4 degrees down on the angle attack.
Yeah.
Not ideal launch, delivery conditions. So we made a couple little changes. I never asked him to change his swing. I asked him to change his aim point. I got him to aim down the right and actually just tilt his spine angle away a little bit. His path went from 11 out to in to 4 degrees in to out, He picked up 5 miles an hour club head speed,
Wow.
and he picked up about 40 yards.
That's amazing.
Because we just changed a couple of tweaks to setup, and he said it was so easy because he never had to change anything. But it was just a couple of setup things, mainly spine angle changing, so he could start hitting up on the ball.
Yeah.
So his launch came up, his spin came down, his ball speed picked up by 5 miles an hour.
So actually taking advantage of the driver versus...
That's exactly it. I mean, the one club we have the advantage to tee up,
Yeah.
he wasn't taking advantage of that.
Makes sense.
So for the 3-wood, that would be why 3-wood's going further. So the main thing is with the driver, get very comfortable with getting in that kind of lower right shoulder position if you're a right-handed golfer, and make sure you've got enough spine angle.
Gotcha. Okay, there are a lot of questions coming in, which is
great.
good.
Yeah,
so
this is fantastic,
We're going
guys.
to try to
Really
fire
good.
through as many as we can. Just scroll past a good one. Give me 1 second. It's a good quick one. GC2 is the one before the GC Quad, so accuracy, it's still very good. It's just
Very
not
good.
quite to the level that this
Yes.
new one is. That's all.
This has twice as many cameras, twice as many lenses, and
Yeah. Did it do strike point? The GC2?
it did. Yep, it was the first. It was the first. So I actually had the original GC2 when I worked at Turnberry.
Oh, you did?
That was
Okay.
the original one, but that was before HMT came out. Then HMT came out, which was the little kind of the little secondary piece that was the camera.
It was an add-on
That
unit?
was so
Right.
that was the part that kind of was able to track strike point. But it was a little difficult to manage. So if a left-hander came in, and we know how many of those we see up here, we'd have to
Myself
take the
included.
arm off and kind of whip it around the other side and
Oh,
all
really?
that sort of stuff. So it was a little difficult. So when I saw how easy GC Quad was to sort of literally lift it, put it round the other side, press left-hander, off you go.
Yeah.
No brainer, and obviously it's phenomenally accurate. I think if your budget can stretch, GC Quad's the way to go. But if budget is an issue, then you're absolutely fine with GC2.
And a lot
It's
of
a great
fitting
system.
centers would still have GC2. That's
Lots.
probably why people are asking.
Lots and
but
lots.
it's a very
Yeah,
good
yeah.
system.
Great system.
Yeah.
Anything that measures consistently, that's the key
Yeah,
to the whole thing.
that's
It's
true.
consistency of measurement, so that you know what you're dealing with.
Gotcha. Okay. Good question quickly about driver head design. So someone asked why most driver heads are designed to help someone draw the ball rather than prevent a hook. Most drivers are geared towards getting rid of a slice because most people slice. Is that fair to say that's why the trend in the industry is?
Absolutely.
But there's more of companies having the 3 model kind of arrangement,
Yeah.
like the fade bias one, the neutral, and kind of the draw one.
And I mean, this year you take Callaway and Ping. They've
Yep.
all done the same. They have a draw,
thing.
they have a neutral, and they have a kind of a low spin option, which is kind of is a little more fade bias.
Right.
They all have adjustable sleeves now. There's no manufacturer. None of the premium guys are playing with a bonded driver, so
They're all adjustable.
They're all adjustable. The one thing that'll be interesting to see if it comes back in is if the manufacturers start to separate face angle and loft independently. Do you remember that one? So
Yeah, you were telling me it's always one affects the other.
one affects the other. So as you close the face, you're increasing loft.
Right.
Right. Now, when TaylorMade had out the R1, you had that disc in the bottom, so you could turn the loft down to 8. So the head was started at 10.
Yep.
You could turn it all the way to 8, but then increase the bumper back up on the head, so you could play 8 degrees but square.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was called ASP, adjustable sole plate. And then obviously flight control technology is what the adjustable sleeve is called.
Yep.
And then they've got movable weight technology as well. So the TaylorMade training's still ingrained in me. They'll never leave.
You remember
me.
that stuff pretty well.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Well, it's funny. Someone was just asking about both of our backstories. That's part of your backstory. You were with TaylorMade for how long?
Biggest part of my story started with them 2004 with TaylorMade, so quite a while. And before that, I was an assistant pro and done a lot of club fitting as an assistant pro.
You did,
And that
okay.
was I was turned pro when I was 18, and I was just Actually, it was right around the time the Titleist 975D, the 975J. TaylorMade came out with the 300 series, so the Grapholoid Pro Light, the True Temper EI70. This was the Pro Force Gold 65.
That, yeah.
This was the early days of custom shafts, and I was into it. You know, I loved that. You know, all these different profiles felt so different and performed so different, and that was for me 17 years ago. What kind of got me into this whole thing?
That's wild. We're not going to do my backstory because no one has time for that.
We will someday.
We'll do another time.
Someday.
Someone was asking if I'm a club fitter. I'm not a club fitter, but I did work in the industry. But
tell you what, you'd be as qualified as 99% people out there.
It's somewhere
nowadays.
in here. I don't know if I could produce it in a session, but it's in my brain somewhere. I think
just nowadays when people ask you questions, Matt obviously answers most of the questions on the channel and that sort of thing, and his answers. You know, if I'm looking back after a busy few days of fitting and I kind of scan back and see what's going on, it's go, I would have said that. It's the same thing. So yeah,
you're not just going delete.
edit.
Nonsense. All right, we will do that another time. Yep. It's an interesting story, but it's a long one. Let's get Joe's question. Joe, this is very good. So swinging around 110 to 112 miles per hour,
sure.
Joe plays stiff shafts all the way through the bag. Hasn't had good experiences with extra stiff, I guess. I guess he's asking if he's leaving anything on the table with stiff. It's a pretty quick swing. 112 is quite a bit of speed.
Pretty quick, Joe. One thing I would say is, I would like to see Joe play some extra stiff shafts with, or play with torque. So I'd play with torque a little bit. So I'd maybe get Joe to play. Joe, I'd love to see you play the Kurokage XT, which is a really stable shaft, but it feels really
I can vouch
smooth.
For. It's very good. Yeah.
It's really smooth. It doesn't feel like an X. I'm a bit like you, and Joe, in that I probably swing at X, but I don't live in X. I can kind of flirt in between out of stiff and X. The scientific studies recently have shown us that basically every player has about a 7 mile an hour swing speed window from where they swing to where you can swing.
Okay.
So that, depending on where you start, that will take you into probably another flex zone if you're accessing the most amount of speed that you've got.
Right.
And that's me. So I swing. I'm like Joe. I'm about 110, but I can get it to 115, 116. That's for sure. So that 115, 116 is absolutely an X. But I don't love an X. So I play the Speeder. Right now I'm playing the Speeder Evolution 4. X-Flex 661.
Yep.
It feels like a stiff to me. I mean, the torque's a little bit higher, and it actually feels. It's
kind of how I feel about
soft.
the TPT myself.
Is that right?
It does not feel stiff at all.
So, in terms of Joe, the shaft flex, don't let that be the determining factor. Play with the other features in that of the shaft. Torque being the main one of them, and I'd love to hear how you get on with that Kurokage XT. Not the Kurokage Silver, that's a different shaft.
XT.
The XT, which is the real premium one.
So perfect example was when Paul, who I used to work with, came in. Video title is, I think, G400 driver fitting, if anyone's looking for it. And Joe, if you haven't seen this, it's perfect for you. Paul swings around 109, 110. You fit him to the XT60.
I did.
And he's been driving it really good, he said.
Good.
So
That's
awesome. I honestly think that would be probably the best option.
Yeah.
At least check it out, right?
For sure.
He also says come to New Jersey. It's on your favorite golf course list, so we have to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've never been. We should go.
Pine Valley's in New Jersey, I believe.
You tell me. Is that a good golf course?
Number one in my list.
I would play Pine Valley with you. That sounds good. This is a good question. I don't know anything about this, and I have no idea what you're going to say. Tour issue equipment versus retail. There's a huge market online buying tour issue heads. Does that mean anything, or is it just they've been spec'd and then they know exactly what the loft is?
There's some differences to some of that tour issue equipment. So they might find the first edition of the heads that come out, the guys may respond to it a certain way. I'll go back to a TaylorMade reference. So when AeroBurner TP came out a few years ago, the white AeroBurner TP, the first version of AeroBurner TP, the Tour Pros hated because they couldn't turn it over.
Okay.
They literally just missed it right all day. Okay. So there was a V2 and a V3 version of that. So these have different weighting properties. They have different CG locations. So it just, for these tour players, they obviously just give their feedback, and then the tour trucks will go back and design another version.
So these are, what would you call them? They're almost like, not throwaways is the wrong word, but they don't get to full production.
Yeah, they're tour only.
Yeah, so that they were never made for the public, but you can. How are people getting their hands on these? I always wondered that. Like, where's that? What's happening? It doesn't make any sense.
Out the back door of the factory, perhaps. I mean, I know TaylorMade had the Vault. Remember that? They launched the Vault a few years ago, where they actually made some tour issue equipment available. There's a few people online. A good friend of ours, guys, if you're looking for the best tour issue equipment out there, go to a guy called Will Peoples, the Peoples Club. Will will do a great job for you. He has such great stuff. Cool. Some great shafts and heads.
That's a Instagram account that I think I've seen.
Go to Instagram. Yep, you can go to his website, the People's Club. Cool. We'll take great care of you with that's for sure.
So it's a yes. There is a difference.
There is a difference. Yeah, I mean, for sure. There's.
It's not that it's better. It's just that it can be different. Is that
little subtle differences. Yep, definitely.
Okay, there are some more questions about TaylorMade drivers, but we have to talk about something else. There's been too much TaylorMade chatter so far. What do you see that you like?
Let's see. Austin, this is a question. So Austin's asking, what connections would you have in the States? Want to have the best fit possible and just can't afford right now to head to Canada. I mean, how many times do we get that one? A lot of guys obviously see the channel, hugely humbled that people would even think that they would jump in a plane and come and see us. So.
Sure.
We, as part of Patreon, actually text Matt this morning about.
This is a great idea, by the way.
Coming up with a sort of a directory of people who we go, those guys are great. Those guys will do a really good job, and we'll try and do it throughout multiple states in the US and all around. So if it's out with the sort of boundaries of people coming to see us here, which we would love, obviously that'd be number one choice, but. If you can't do that and you're in California and you want to go see someone there, we will actually, within the Patreon community, that will be a member benefit.
Like a recommended fitters list,
for sure.
Basically?
Yeah. We want to spend the time to do that and actually, reach out to these other companies as well and make them part of this community as well.
So you can refer people.
Absolutely.
I mean, Austin, if you want to chime in about where you are in the States, you can give them a quick.
For sure.
Quick buzz about where to go.
Do that. Yeah. No problem.
Okay.
What else have we
TP5X golf ball. We will be doing a review on that. It's good for. So let's try to make this more general. Golf balls like Pro V1, Pro V1X, TP5, TP5X. We get asked a lot.
Yeah.
If you're a high handicap player, should you bother with a ball like that? What do you think?
I would always say if you can afford it, generally as a high handicapper, the notion you might lose a few.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
So it might not be the most economical idea, but if it's not a case of I don't mind buying a few dozen to do it, then the rule of thumb would always be play the most premium ball you can afford.
Right.
So premium as in premium performance, not premium price.
Yeah, and as long as now the X should be suited a bit more to someone with a bit more speed. Like if you're a slower player, we've talked about this so briefly, but a ball that compresses more, like the Project A, for example, is
Project
that a better choice?
Or AVX, we saw.
Better choice?
Yep, for sure.
But certainly not.
I would say
it could be a good choice.
PMAC, what height is he? Not very tall.
Yeah, how tall are you?
5'9.5".
Just like I'm 5'11 and a half. Are you 6 feet? No, I'm not 6 feet. I would love to say I was 6 feet.
5'9.5".
Joe is just chiming back in. He's playing hazardous yellow in the driver and fairway, and the low zone Project X in the irons. So a stiff flex yellow.
Joe, if you can let us know again, just 6.0, 65 gram in the driver. Is that what you're playing? 6.0 being the stiff. Let us know if that's what you've got.
Okay. While we wait for that. Yes, Wind Dance is very nice, Brandon. Played there a few times. Actually, famous Sam plays at Wind Dance.
So the funniest thing happened the other day. So we had Bandit Baker, and as we mentioned, and we're chatting about the channel and different stuff, and he's just telling us how much he's really enjoyed, being this part of this community and stuff. And then walks Sam, and honestly, Bandit Baker was happy to meet us and all the two. He nearly fell off his seat when Sam walked in.
Sam, yeah.
Like he's like, I literally feel like I'm in the presence of a star. And he's like, Sam, it's so great to meet you. So they had a good chat for 10, 15 minutes. So that
Sam
was
called
really,
me on the way
really
home. He thought it was. He's like, I was not expecting that when I came into the shop. I was like, well, hey, you're a star.
Really,
what do you
really
want?
Cool to see. Hey, Sammy's an inspirational figure.
If you're looking for Sam, you may find him on the range at Windance hitting a set of Callaway Apex irons.
Look at the top 100. So this is
okay. Top 100 fitters from Golf Digest is a list.
I don't subscribe to that.
Okay,
stuff.
I didn't think you would. I really didn't think you would.
These lists unfortunately are.
Are they influenced by a bit of this?
They're unfortunately. I mean, they're not well put together.
Okay.
Not well put.
We'll come up with a better one. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's we will do one for the UK special. A lot of UK. Viewers, chiming in.
And a few really good spots.
I know most of the good ones. I know most of the good guys out there in Scotland, England. I know a bunch in Ireland. I've been in contact with a few of the good guys. At McGurk's in Ireland, Robbie been talking to there. So yeah, a bunch of those guys.
Okay, I'm going to check in with Joe before I lose his comment.
6.0, 65. Yep, thought that, Joe. Yep. So.
Kind of like me when I first came in. I was playing 6.0 irons, and so he was kind of right on the borderline.
Yeah, and Joe's a little slower than you are. I would say driver would not be the right one for sure. Fairway you might get away with, and irons. Yeah, irons. I don't attribute too much flex in terms of the irons. I think if you get the loft and lies dialed in, make sure they're weighted correctly and get the balance of the set, that'd be fine. 120 gram shaft in your irons should be fine at that speed.
More about how it's performing for him. If he's not,
I
think he was just asking, is it, especially with the driver, if it's a little soft for his speed, if he's losing consistency,
is he losing something
right?
by not being an X?
Yeah.
I would say in the driver, if you're going at it hard, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Let's go back up a little bit there.
This way?
Yeah. Guys, I have a question.
What's your question? All right, let's get back on track here, shall we? Sorry guys, we scrolled big time.
A little bit.
When are we hitting the road? We don't know yet.
Jim, we're hopefully hitting the road in the fall. I think my fitting schedule certainly tied up for about the next. Where we're at, it's probably till about the end of August.
Right. And you get a little more free.
Yep. Once that happens, then we're going to block some time in probably September.
And we can at least start giving people information about when those things are happening.
Yeah.
I think the planning stage of it.
Yeah, we're going to start reaching out to some courses and getting a little flavour from you guys. That's actually while we're on here for the rest of the time. Give us a little idea in where you want us to. Yeah, where would you like us to go, guys? Where are you guys based? And is TXG session something you would like to come and do and be part of?
I think we'll actually run a few surveys, probably on Instagram, location based.
Yep.
And interest level, what kind of stuff you want to do during the session, where do you want it to be, what's the central spot?
Well, to give you an idea of the rough format, we're going to open it out just with a bit of kind of explanation, demonstration on club fitting. This is what we see. These are the crucial factors in creating a well balanced set of clubs. This is a little bit of troubleshooting for the things that we see. We'll open it up to a little bit of Q&A, probably break up at that point and kind of get a little break, a little chance to grab some food. Head back out onto the range, spend a little time with you guys hitting shots and kind of working our way down kind of the sort of participants order and then just take a look at your stuff specifically.
I think it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, do a little Q&A while we're out there, and it'll be a great format, I think.
The kind of thing that will likely evolve as we do it.
Yeah. But
it'll be nice it's going to be relatively small groups, and I think there'll be a lot of flexibility in how we can structure it. We'll take people's feedback.
There's even been some discussions of bringing in other sort of specialists into the format. So, whether that's sports psychologist, whether it's a golf instructor, whether, so you're getting the kind of full holistic sort of approach to improving your golf game.
Yeah.
And we spend time talking about fitting, and we do, multiple parts.
I'm going to answer Brian's question here about swing changing. Brian, yes, you should definitely go for fitting now. So Brian's going through a swing change, like I was. I think the fittings that we've done have made a huge difference in just my ability to work on my swing, my awareness from the stats that we got on GC Quad and stuff. I would say it was part of the progression. It wasn't. I wouldn't say you need to finish your swing change, pick a date and say, I'm done swing changing now, I'm getting my fitting. I don't think there's any harm in at least going for an initial session. Yeah. And you can always follow up, right? You can always go back for another session. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to buy your clubs right now. No. Go and see what you get fit for, and then keep working on your swing and go back after a month and see what happens. Now, you noticed something bad about his driver set.
Well, actually I never even got to the part, so I just saw Brian say, I got to the bit where he said he played X2 hot driver, cut down to 44 inches. Now I went, oh geez. Yeah. Because that was already a really light head weight. So C6 is obviously going to be a problem. Yeah, definitely get that. Either go get the head hot melted, get it back up into the D2, D3 region, somewhere in the 200 and 44 inches, if you play it around 209, 210 grams, you should be nicely around D2, D3, just in the head weight.
Yeah. I think this question is probably about the new i500 pings, talking about forged ping irons.
Yeah, I love them.
You thought they were amazing, no?
Those are phenomenal. It was interesting, the rep came in and he kind of showed his i210 and i500. And because I was excited about I210, I've always thought the I200 or I20 line were nice, and so we hit them, and it's a really nice iron, but it's kind of more of the same. Follows on from those other very good heads. Right. And then he kind of pulls out I500, and I go, oh, geez, that looks good. That's a little cross between a G700 and an iBlade. So nicely forged, designed, I guess, to compete with the PXG market, the P790 market. Yep. So very, very attractive. So then I hit the thing, and it was a comfortable 12, 14 yards longer than the I210. And I was watching my club head speed, making sure I wasn't getting a little bit excited and just swinging quicker at it. No, sure enough, it was the ball speed was higher, the launch angle was about 2 degrees higher, and the spin rate was about 500 less.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, and literally he's just finished showing me the slides where it's going. It launches about 2 degrees higher, it spins about 500 less.
Like the product info.
It's crazy, and it was literally exactly what it done.
That's really cool. So those are going to be, when are they coming out? Fall? Winter?
They're coming out. The embargo is lifted on July 31st, end of the month.
So you're going to have them in the shop pretty soon.
We'll probably have a review on them in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, don't promise that unless it's happening.
You sure you want to get those irons this yet?
Don't. People will.
My irons are need is more distance.
My irons are back there, so they're ordered. That's cool though. Bill's got me building a geo directory powered website for the tour approved fitters. That'll happen. We'll do that.
Say that again, sorry, what?
A geo directory powered website, the fancy stuff.
Oh, jeez, Billy, now you're talking fancy.
I think it's going to be a text list at first, and then we'll go from there. G400 Max driver weights. Can you buy different weights? Because we basically, when we were doing the video about swing weight or something, you were changing them. Can you buy those?
Yeah. Well, you can get them through an authorized dealer or someone like us.
Okay. Yeah. So you can get a little kit.
Yep.
Gotcha. See what you see here and let me know.
Okay, Joe, following on your stuff. So two-way miss with the driver, with the hook being the big miss, definitely going to look into the extra. I would also look at whether you actually need counterbalance. Remember, Joe, hazardous yellow is a high balance point, so you're already playing a light head weight in that XR, so using a counterbalance shaft in that as well is probably taking away your feel of where the head is. I would really think if we put a bit of mass back down there, we could probably raise your awareness and get you back on track.
And so the XT is not counterbalanced when he tries that?
No.
Okay.
I think PMAX said that one in a couple of times in there. How do you choose to go longer in length or more upright in lie angle?
As in, when would you do that in the fitting?
Yeah, how do you choose? Yeah, exactly. So length, is the big influence on length is obviously. Well, we don't do so much static measurements anymore. It's mostly based on strike point.
Right.
So if your strike is kind of a little, going by the rule book, the black and white rule book, if it's a little bit toey, you might want to add a little bit of length. If it's a little heely, you might want to take a little length away. The reality is, if your strike is all over the face, the length, you want to definitely have a look at that.
Right.
And then if the lie angle, if you need the lie angle to go more upright, that's because you are leaving the face a little bit open.
Gotcha.
For the most part.
I'm going to answer this by referring them to a video. So soft stepping, you went through it in really nice detail in a video about graphite versus steel shafts.
Right, okay.
So Jason, if you're looking for a really good little snippet on that, it was probably 2 weeks ago. Check that video out.
Ross, one of our patrons there is just asking if we can send out that.
Yeah, so when we talk about surveys or any sort of, I guess, community requests,
for sure.
There'll be ones that are just for Patreon, obviously, but yeah, so don't worry about that. We'll definitely have it for you guys as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting a few, so getting some requests on the locations for the TXG sessions. We've got London, we've got Atlanta, Georgia. We've got some local ones in the GTA. Alfred, how are you? Nice to hear from you. Definitely got that.
I think we should probably say we might do one locally first.
Yeah, that'll probably be the first one we do will be
not a test, but the first one will be local.
We've already discussed the locations in the GTA, certainly in the west side of the GTA.
Alfred, it's not too far from you.
Not too far. Yep.
Gotcha.
What's that? I think that question was asked there
15 times.
Yeah.
It's just skipping around now because we're getting lots of questions. There we go. Okay.
Should a fitter profile?
Oh, that's actually a very good question.
Bag before you start your fit. So absolutely, a fitter should profile the bag. Yeah, definitely. Before you start, absolutely. One of the first, if someone comes in for an iron fit, the first thing I'll do is grab the iron that we're testing, 6 iron, and I'll measure the loft, the lie, the swing weight, the length. I'll obviously take a look at the grip size, that sort of stuff. Most of what's going on will be given away at that point. So if someone says to me, I'm hitting the irons horribly left, and I'm looking at these irons, I've got tons of offset, and the lie angle's way upright. Right. I go, well, this is a good start as to how we're going to help you. We're going to go into something that has less offset, and we're going to flatten the lie angles and that type of thing. So,
big part of it.
You absolutely should have your set profiled. Yeah.
Quick question. So your driver fitting sessions for Bill, they're an hour or 45 minutes?
No, I would say an hour to an hour and 15 would definitely be. So we get you we set aside an hour and a half. We get you warmed up, and we have a little bit of time at the end just to make sure you've not got any questions, and time to go over the recommendation and that sort of thing. So I think from start to finish, we'll see you for about an hour and a half.
Gotcha. Is it one of the longer sessions you find, the driver, like in terms of
driver and irons definitely take the longest. That's the meat of it. Yeah.
Bill, all the rates are on the website if you go to txg.ca. I don't want to misquote them right now.
Jim Scott explained hot melt. So Jim, hot melt is an adhesive. Some people call it rack glue. There's different names for it. So basically, it's a material that gets heated up and put inside a hot melt gun, and then it literally it's heated up so it goes kind of gooey, and then it's literally injected into the head. So perfect example is I built yesterday a hybrid for one of our customers, Steve Snow, up in Newfoundland. So Steve gave me a very specific build. So he wanted it a tailor-made M4, 19-degree hybrid with an Acra 300 series M5. Now that's a 95 gram hybrid shaft, not light.
No.
Right? He wanted it cut to 39.5, and that was the first question mark for me. Went, oh geez, that's an inch short of standard.
Right.
So I dry built the whole thing, came out to C6 swing weight.
Wow.
So even though it was super heavy shaft and stuff, I had to pull it apart, Mike had to come in today, hot melt the head, put enough weight to get it back up to about D3.
That's cool.
Put it back together, send it out to Steve. He's a happy camper.
Very cool.
Yep.
Let's see. Oh, there's Austin. Austin was looking at Club Champion in Colorado.
Good.
Good spot.
Yeah, Club Champion do a great job. Good guys. Yeah, I mean, there's Club Champions all over the US now. I would kind of try to always, to do a little bit of research on the fitters and maybe some of their backgrounds and
the individuals at a shop.
Yeah, I would do. I mean, you're definitely with a reputable brand where you'll have a plethora of options and there'll be no shortage of that front. Equipment's top notch. They use TrackMan for the most part right now. I know the guys there very, very well. They're excellent. Good. They use a centralized build shop in Chicago where they get all the stuff built to top spec. So yeah, I would say Club Champion, True Spec, Cool Clubs, all those guys in the US do a phenomenal job.
Awesome. Robert says he's going to come see you from the UK.
Awesome.
Is there anything he can do to prepare to make his fit more successful? I think this is a great question. What would you have someone do in the weeks leading up to it?
Lots of our customers, again, I'll use Bandit as the most one that's fresh in my mind. Bandit sent me a really good breakdown of his game, a little bit of his objectives before he came over, what he was looking to get out of it. Yeah. He kind of gave me a heads up that bigger grips were what he wanted to try. So going in that morning, actually I was thinking about Bandit's fit before I even saw him. I was thinking, okay, I know I need to get him into some bigger grips. I'm probably going to be thinking of these shafts and that shaft. So I'd kind of almost started my process of elimination with Bandit before I'd even seen him because he sent me a nice email as we started.
So a little communication is always good.
It's always
but
good.
In terms of someone's actual game,
yeah,
it's good to be not over practicing, over playing, but
that's right.
It's good to be in playing shape, like be playing,
good
but
point.
not overdo it.
That's it.
Don't come in with blisters all over your hands because you've been hacking balls.
I would say another part of it is as well. Be prepared in terms of your energy levels. Don't overexert yourself before you come in.
Very true, especially if you're flying here.
I mean, sort of get some energy in there. In terms of fuel, get some food and that sort of thing before you come in. But it's a lot of shots to hit. It can be 150 to 180 shots in a session, so it's no joke.
Awesome. Being invited to Masters Week. We might need
a
couple more subscribers before we get that invite.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
You're starting to see a lot of YouTube guys getting the call for that though. I think Peter Finch went and those guys. There's a little community that's been going there.
Hopefully heading down there this year. My dad turned 60 last year, and so that was one of the things I promised him, that we would make a little trip to the Masters. So we're heading down there.
So Ian will be there.
I will be there. I'll be there. My second time. I was down there in 2015 when Spieth won.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely loved it. Fell in love with the place even more being there in person. So it's cool.
Very cool. We're getting a little long on time. You want to take a couple more?
Yeah.
We got videos to film.
Yeah. What we at 10 past 6. Yeah. Let's go a few more.
Okay. What's the best method of determining lie angle? This is a good question because it's changed recently.
Mm-hmm. I would say it depends again what equipment's available to you. So. I would use a couple of methods. So if you have access to GC Quad, that would be perfect. So obviously measuring dynamic lie angle in Quad is great. Ultimately, go by your ball flight. Ball flight is always king. Reverse engineer from ball flight. If your ball is going a little bit left, you probably want to look at it going a little bit flatter. I'm a perfect example of that. I'm a bit of a handle raiser. So through impact, I tend to drop the handle a little bit. So I do drop the toe down, but I miss left.
Okay.
So I don't mind that I'm toe down. So
you don't want to go upright because then you'll start. I can't.
That's it. I'm the perfect example of why you can't do lie angle fitting with a lie board.
Gotcha.
Because if you saw that mark in the toe, you would move my clubs upright. Then I would start hitting everything left for fun, and I'd get worse.
Right.
So you have to revert back from ball flight, as I say, reverse engineer it, and that's the key.
So if you see a lie board, run away, kind of thing.
Lie boards are called lie boards for a reason because they lie to you.
Yeah. There's been at least a few questions about having a consistent but not good strike on the driver. So people hitting it low, heel, toe, and asking could a shaft change influence a better strike point for them?
Yep, and
possible.
when we go back to what the role of a shaft is, it's a timing device and it's an energy production device. So when it comes to the timing of it, yeah, of course, if your timing isn't better, you're gonna be able to present the middle of the golf club to the ball more often, and you know, if you have the right timing.
Right.
So if your timing's off, you know, you might hit a few toe and a few heelys. So yeah, shaft plays a big part in that.
Fried Eggs Golf collaboration.
I'm terrible with this stuff. I don't even know who those guys are.
He's funny. He's
Is
a
he?
funny guy, yeah. If he wants to send us an email, sure. I don't know where he's based, to be honest. He's got a funny channel. He does do equipment reviews too. I shouldn't say he's just funny, but it's a lighthearted channel.
Is it kind of like that? Is he a club fitter or is he a teacher?
I think so. I think he might be a pro or something like that, but he's got a good little thing going.
Nice. I'd like to do something with any of those guys.
Honestly, anyone that emails us, we're certainly open to it.
Juan is, hey Ian, Matt, going to go and get fit next week at True Spec in Miami. What questions should I be asking to get the most out of fit? Awesome, love that. I know the guys down there really well. Andy Victoriano runs that one. I would just say be very clear about your goals when you go in there, what it is you're looking to achieve. I think, you know, if budget is something you've got in mind, you know, express, you know, what you're kind of working with in terms of budget, because then you can get the absolute most out of it. There's nothing worse than getting to the end of the fit and the fitter delivers a recommendation. You go, like, you know, that's just not feasible right now. The car payments and the family and all in life, you know, just is not going to allow that to happen. Well, you just spent an hour and a half going in the wrong direction then, if that's the case. So can express all that sort of stuff if there's budget constraints. You know, obviously just give as much information about your ball flight and game as you possibly can. But you know, Andy, if that's who's doing your fit, is a superb fitter, and he'll be able to identify most of your issues very fast.
Very cool. All right. You want to take one more?
Yeah.
Got one about your homeland here if you want to take that.
What's that one? Trying to plan a golf trip to Scotland. Anywhere I should go.
Pick one.
I mean, I think you could do any one or a number of West Coast. Go West Coast and play the Prestwick, Troon, Turnberry, Western Gales, Dundonald sort of patch. You go East Coast and do the St Andrews, Carnoustie, Kings Barnes sort of stuff. I think one of the most underrated trips is going north and doing Royal Aberdeen, Cruden Bay, Mercer, all those sort of, you know, the new Trump International course up there is very good. Even further up to Inverness and do Castle Stewart, Royal Dornoch, Nairn, Brora, all those sorts of things. So there's a little company called TXG Travel you might want to look at online.
What a shameless plug.
Who cares?
That's hilarious.
TXG Travel, and contact us and we'll be able to tell you all about the best places to go, for sure. Awesome. What have we got? Is there any?
I know you want to take
I saw a sneaky one there from Paul. It caught my eye there.
This one here?
Paul broke his recoil 5-iron shaft at the range. Our recoil is a weaker shaft. No, not necessarily. You may just have got a bit of bad luck, Paul, and got a defective one or something like that. If it's the Paul O'Neill that practices in here, bring it into us and we'll take a look at it for you, pal, and we'll see what happened.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I think that was a good solid hour.
Yeah. Sorry if we didn't get to your question. There were a lot, which we're happy to see. We just can only do so many. Yeah. Or we can only do so many well. We could probably do more, but we wouldn't be doing a very good job.
Excellent.
We got some filming to do. A little preview. We're doing the Mizuno.
We've got the Mizuno ST180. So we've got that one to film, which will be interesting. Big thanks to Chris at Mizuno for dropping that one. I sent him a message and said we're getting tons and tons of requests to test that one, and obviously, you know, would love to do it. And literally within, 5 minutes, he's like, "Listen, I've got one coming your way. I've got a tip coming your way." Blah blah blah. So super service from Mizuno. We can't wait to try that one. Lots of people curious as to how that stacks up against the big boys.
Would you say it's more popular in Europe? Because I don't hear about it, or I don't see them at like my local club or when I go anywhere. But I seem to, when I look online, it's got a little more presence in the UK.
That was the interesting thing for me, is that I don't see many blue drivers out there.
No.
Yeah, I see a bit of a cult following for why don't you guys give any love to the Mizuno drivers? They're really good, and you know, and Chris has certainly been for the longest time. He's like, you guys got to try this. It's a good driver. I know the guys at My Golf Spy tested it, and it came out pretty good.
Yeah, I think it got some decent
reviews.
reviews.
I think it got some decent reviews. So we'll give our 2 cents on it. Obviously, we've got a really good benchmark that we fit Matt for, so we can work off of that. And if it stacks up against yours, then by all
that'll
means,
be the goal of the video, is just to say, is it as good as some of the other good ones that we've tried?
That's exactly it. So
all right.
Yeah, guys,
thanks for tuning in.
This was great. Yeah, no, definitely. We'll make sure this is somewhat of a regular feature by the amount of questions.
Yeah, lots of questions. We could probably stand for what?
Beautiful tan too, Matt.
Yeah, don't remind anybody he's tan. Have you ever seen someone from Scotland look like that? I'd love to know.
No.
If you see a more tan Scotsman, point him out. Take a picture of him.
No. The weather's been good, hasn't it?
It has been good.
Excellent, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll get loads of videos coming through the weeks. Big shout out to the patrons. Obviously,
yes, huge shout out.
We just love the support of the community that's kind of growing on there. Yeah. We're just about to hit our first goal and our first target. Gears is on the way. With our kind of call with Michael Neff from Gears tomorrow to get our system ordered.
Yep.
We just can't wait to get that hooked up in here and get some more information. This is going to be the neatest thing. So
yeah, it's been amazing so far. If you didn't have time to check out the video about it, I mean, if you don't, you know, we made a 10-minute version of it.
We made a 10-minute version.
Check it out and see.
And you can find our Patreon account, just if you want to read about it. One of our great customers was in tonight and said, I heard about your Patreon stuff. I want to join the community. What's it all about? You know, go to www.patreon.com/Tour Experience Golf.
Yeah, and feel free to, like, if you have a comment or a question, leave it for us. We'll be happy to answer it in a lot of detail. We're kind of going through the process of, I guess, educating people about what we're trying to do.
That's right.
But this first step, I think, will be a huge awareness, because the purchase of the gear system has been entirely funded by Patreon and patrons. Yeah. So that's the type of thing we're doing, and so I think once that gets installed, we'll kind of chat a little bit more about it.
Andre's there. How do I link the YouTube to Patreon?
Okay, so Andre, you're going to go, when you're on YouTube, you go to your icon on the top right. You need a channel URL. So your YouTube account has a channel. Copy that, and then you go to your Patreon account, go to the settings, and you put it in there. But it lets us see who's from Patreon in the comments, which is great.
Love it.
All right.
Awesome.
We'll see you guys soon.
Yep, thanks so much. See you soon.